pleasure to welcome to this stage the next President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
You're just listening to former First Lady Michelle Obama give an extremely powerful, pointed speech that lasted about 42, 43 minutes. And we checked, that's longer than the majority of the speeches she's given over the last few campaigns. And she roused the crowd and she made her pitch. She wants everybody out there having uncomfortable conversations. It was to get people, you know, what you hear is off the couch. You know, there are people in this country who've made up their minds by this point, whoever you are going to vote for. But that was a speech largely directed at people who might want to sit this election out. And she gave a plethora of reasons why not to do that. And she just introduced the vice president. So let's listen to Kamala Harris.
Can we hear it for Michelle Obama? Good afternoon, Michigan. Good afternoon. We're doing this. We're doing this. All right. Okay. Oh, it's great to be in Kalamazoo. Thank you, guys. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, we got some work to do. We got some work to do. Can we please applaud my dear and incredible friend, the former First Lady, Michelle Obama. And I just have to say, I've known Michelle for years, and she is an inspiration. I know everybody here knows this. She is a truth teller, and she motivates us to get to work, especially when the stakes are high, because as she reminds us, as my mother taught me, don't just sit around and complain about injustice. And there are so many incredible leaders here tonight. But I want to first just thank everybody, because there's so much you could be doing with your time right now. And you are here, and we are here as community, as coalition builders, because we love our country. And I thank you for being here, and I thank you for all your work. I thank you. And I want to give a shout out to Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist. He's over there somewhere. Senator Gary Peters. And all the union, elected, and community leaders here today, I thank you. I want to give a special thank you to former Republican Congressman Fred Upton. Who represented Kalamazoo for decades and has endorsed our campaign because, as he put it, ours is the team that will bring people together, strengthen our economy, and get things done for the American people. So Kalamazoo, listen, you all know, before I was vice president, I was a United States Senator. And before that, I know you want to say Kalamazoo, I heard you. Okay. So listen, before I was vice president, and before that I was a two-term attorney general of California, I was a senator and a two-term attorney general of California, and before that a district attorney, and before that a courtroom prosecutor. And in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators, fraudsters, and repeat offenders. I took them on, and I won. Well, Michigan, in 10 days, it's Donald Trump's turn. We've got just 10 days left. Well, you know, I hear your chant, but listen, the courts are going to handle that. We're going to handle November. Okay? There we go. So look, we've got just 10 days left in one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime. As you all know, voting has already started. And everybody here knows this is going to be a tight race till the very end, so we have a lot of work to do. But we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is joyful work. And make no mistake, we will win. We will win. We will win. We will win. We will. Yes, we will. And I got something for it. Or as a certain former president would say, yes, we can. So yes, we can, and yes, we will. And we will win because together, and this is about all of us, we are fighting for America's future. And we understand the opportunity we have before us to turn the page on the fear Thank you all. And listen, on the topic of Gaza, we must end that war. And we must end the war and bring the hostages home. But now I am speaking about 2024. All right. So listen, we have to understand the opportunity we have before us to turn the page on the fear and the divisiveness that have characterized our politics for a decade because of Donald Trump. We have an opportunity to turn the page and chart a new and joyful way, dare I say joyful, way forward. Where we tap into the ambition and the aspirations and the dreams of the American people. And I'm going to tell you, as I travel around our country, there is an overwhelming call for a fresh start. For a new generation of leadership that is optimistic and excited about what we can do together. There is a yearning in our country for a president who sees the people, not just looking in the mirror all the time, but sees the people, who gets you and who will fight for you. That is what this election is about. And my whole career, I have put the people above partisanship. I never ask somebody, are you a Democrat or a Republican before I offered help. Instead, the first and only thing I asked is, how can I help you? And that is a major difference between Donald Trump and me, and between the two extremely different visions that he and I have for our nation. One, his, focused on the past and himself. The other, ours, focused on the future and you and your family. And together, we will build a future where we bring down the cost of living. And that will be my focus every single day as president. Because look, while inflation is down and wages are up, prices are still too high. You know it and I know it. And unlike Donald Trump, who had $400 million handed to him on a silver platter and then filed for bankruptcy 6 times, I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood with a working mother who kept a strict budget and did everything she could to make sure my sister and I had all that we needed. I come from the middle class, and I will never forget where I come from. I will never forget where I come from. And so my common sense plan is about lowering the prices you pay on everything from prescription medication to groceries to housing. On the other hand, Donald Trump will raise costs on the families of America. In fact, independent economists have analyzed our plans and found that mine will cut your costs and strengthen our economy, while his will increase inflation and lead to a recession by the middle of next year. And his agenda is all laid out in Project 2025. Which I still must say, I cannot believe they put that in writing. I mean, they put it in writing, they bound it, they handed it out. And if you get your hands on it, Google it. It's a detailed and dangerous blueprint for what he will do if he is elected president. Donald Trump will impose a 20% Trump national sales tax on everyday basic necessities, which will cost, the economists have measured it, will cost the average family nearly $4,000 a year. On the other hand, I will take on an issue like corporate price gouging. I've done it before, and I will do it again. Donald Trump will give massive tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations, exactly like he did the last time he was president. I will give middle-class tax cuts to 100 million Americans, including $6,000 during the first year of a child's life, that will also lift America's children out of poverty. Donald Trump, again, read his plan, will get rid of the $35 cap on insulin for seniors. He will cut Medicare and Social Security. In fact, recently it was published, independent economists say he will bankrupt Social Security in the next 6 years. And what everybody here knows, we have so many seniors whose only source of income is their Social Security check. And we believe that our seniors should be able to retire with dignity, not worried about whether they're going to have a roof over their head. And we believe that their families also should not be overwhelmed by the cost of home health care, which is why my plan includes ensuring that instead of you who are taking care of your elder relative, you know, I took care of my mother when she was sick, And I know what that is like. It's about trying to cook something that they feel like eating. It's about trying to help them put on a sweater. It's about trying to say something that maybe will bring a smile to their face and maybe make them laugh from time to time. It's about their dignity. But we have a lot of people right now living in what we call the sandwich generation, who are taking care of your kids while you're taking care of your parents. And that's a lot. It's a lot. And too many people either if you are fortunate enough, you may have some extra money that you can hire somebody, but most people can't. So what that means is so many people have to think about leaving work, quitting their job, which means cutting a source of income, or spending down all of your savings to be able to qualify for Medicaid. It's just not right. So part of my plan says that we're going to make sure that Medicare covers the cost of home health care for our seniors. It's about dignity. It's about dignity. It's about seeing people where they are and understanding the burdens people face and lifting folks up instead of trying to beat people down, which is exactly what we see on the other side. On top of that, my plan will bring down the cost of housing because we know housing is too expensive. And for so many people, you know, generations ago, folks could kind of count on the American dream. But it's out of reach for far too many people. And so we're going to bring down the cost of housing, including creating incentives for more home building, and we are going to create a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. To get your foot in the door.
All right, you've been listening to Vice President Kamala Harris in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And, you know, she's been bringing out the star power all week. Last night was Beyonce, Willie Nelson, Jessica Alba the night before, former President Barack Obama, Bruce Springsteen. She'll be with Bruce Springsteen tomorrow in Philadelphia. Tonight, she had Michelle Obama introduce her. Michelle Obama, the former First Lady, spoke for about 42, 43 minutes. I'd have to check exactly, but, you know, almost double the time she's spoken at past events like this. And it was a very pointed speech trying to get people who might want to sit out this election because they don't really love either candidate to hear the consequences of that choice as defined by Michelle Obama. It was really interesting, and a lot of people talking about it online. She certainly got the crowd there in Kalamazoo riled up. I want to bring in Mary Alice Parks, White House correspondent. Mary Alice, that was some kind of, and we'll talk about what Kamala Harris, the vice president, is talking about right now. This is the kind of stump speech that we've heard from her over the course of the days, but that Michelle Obama speech was something else.
I mean, she really stole the show and I think reminded Democrats, probably the country, as people watch that speech, that she is the single best surrogate that Democrats have. I mean, Democrats have known that for a long time. Look, she joked that she hates politics, that she doesn't like doing this, but she said she couldn't live with herself if she didn't get out there and try to do everything she could to get Kamala Harris over the finish line. You know, it was interesting, the first half of her speech, I already thought there were quite a lot of headlines because she really went on the attack against former President Trump, using language that we often don't hear from the Obamas, who, you know, Michelle Obama famously said, when they go low, we go high. But she went on the attack against former President Trump. She accused him of showing signs of mental decline, of being a child, of saying that Kamala Harris is showing what sane and stable leaders look like. But then, after about 20 minutes, I mean, Phil, Michelle Obama pivoted and gave one of the most raw and honest arguments for the need for reproductive rights in this country that we have heard from any Democrat. I mean, this is an issue that, of course, Kamala Harris and Democrats around the country have wanted to make absolutely central to this campaign. But it was Michelle Obama who really laid out the stakes in a very different way, a very personal and visceral way. And so interesting, Phil, wasn't it, that she tailored her comments to men. She talked about all the impacts that the changes to abortion laws have had in this country and have had on women's health, but she said, men, it is you who will have to pick up some of the pieces. You can't think that this isn't going to impact you. Are you going to vote in this way that doesn't take women into account? It's so interesting. I can't help but think about the fact that there is this yawning gender gap in this country in the polling right now. Of course, Kamala Harris doing better with women, former President Trump doing better with men. So maybe part of this was Michelle Obama's sort of appeal to men, try to get some of those men back to Democrat side. But it was a very interesting, very stunning speech, I thought, Phil.
Yeah, and it was, you're so right, Mary Alice, and it was an appeal to young men in particular. And, you know, when lost in the reproductive rights conversation oftentimes are the men, and she's saying, you know, look at the women in your life you love, your mother, your wife, your girlfriend, your daughters, nieces. And she was bringing men back into the fold in this discussion because over the last 48 hours, Kamala Harris's campaign has been very focused on reproductive rights. But tonight, at the beginning of her speech, she talked about bringing the cost of living down. Talk to me a little bit about that, Mary Alice, because that seems to be the #1 issue on people's minds. And last night she didn't really hit on it much, but today she is.
Yeah, Kamala Harris is really ticking through her policy proposals, some of which have been out there for a while. Of course, she's talked about her proposals around housing, around wanting to expand, double the size of the child tax credit, as she said. And she said again just there that it would help lift children out of poverty. She has this new policy proposal, though, that I think is very interesting, actually hasn't gotten a lot of attention, but how she wants to have Medicare pay for the cost of home health. I can tell you that out on the campaign trail, caring for seniors, caring for elderly loved ones is something that a lot of Americans are grappling with. People don't know what the right solution is, but they know there is a huge problem in this country. It's very interesting to me that in this final stretch of the campaign, we're seeing Harris sort of double down on this new policy proposal, trying to get at that. But yeah, she's ticking through her policy proposals and her making a larger argument that she's the one with serious policy proposals, trying to sort of dismiss, in her view, in her sort of speech here, that Trump is someone who doesn't have the same level of serious policy proposals that she does.
It was interesting just in the lead up to her speech to hear the former First Lady actually ask the question, you know, out loud, like, if this is what I'm laying out for you, this is the choice, how is it that this race is as close as it is? And, you know, it's a question you hear a lot of pundits ask on TV. It's a question I've heard a lot of people, you know, ask me in my own life, just asking me my opinion. Why do you think this race is as close as it is? And it's because the nation is as divided as it is. What do you think a speech like Michelle Obama's does to get people off the couch? Because it seems she was speaking to people who were thinking, hey, maybe I'll just sit this one out. Do you think it does it?
I mean, she was really forcefully calling out Democrats or would-be Democrats for considering staying home, for considering voting for a third-party candidate, she said. She basically said it was unacceptable in her view, that the stakes were too high. She said that the country cannot get this one wrong. And she said, she sort of talked about a temporary vote, but missing a long-term discussion. I thought that was very interesting. Sort of, she challenged people in the crowd at the end to have uncomfortable conversations with their loved ones who might be feeling that they're frustrated over the cost of groceries, frustrated over the sort of slow track of progress, she said. But what were they voting for long term? You know, I do think, sort of regardless of who you vote for, what side of the aisle you're on, I think all of us in this country could probably benefit from uncomfortable conversations with our loved ones that get people talking about politics again together.
And not just at Thanksgiving. I think you're right. White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks, it's always great to talk through these speeches with you. Thank you.